And I guess I'm still Chuckalicious Chuck Williams.
You guessed. I thought it was every bit of never mind who you thought I was. Like,
Yeah, no, don't worry about who you thought I am. I'll tell you who I am.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I love it.
Now, when it comes to our first guest for today, we are joined by Mr. Brant Fricker, joining us with Friends with Fricker. Brant, how are we doing this morning, sir?
Hey, I'm wishing I was Alan Robertson with that voice. Man. It's going well there, my man. Hey, fantastic to see you and hear you, my man. It's
Absolutely.
great to be with you. Yeah, we've got a great topic today, folks. It could change your life.
Brant,
I'm with you there, Chuck.
Brant, I just want to, in today's climate, political, religious, etc., if you say your own name, people become offensive to it. How can I get around that? I mean, how can you become too difficult to offend?
I'm so glad you asked that there, Chuckalicious. Folks, life is too short to be offended, and it's really hard to offend me. It hasn't always been that way. But the key to being unoffendable, if we can make up that word, is number one, to know what offense is and to not fall prey to it. The word offense comes from a Greek word called scandalon. It means bait.
Right.
They would dig a pit, put spikes in it. If they wanted to kill the prey or the captive, they would put brush or foliage on top of the opening of the pit, and then they would put the offense. The scandalon, the bait. How many of you, myself included, have taken the bait before, and you're the one that fell into a pit long after the person that offended you or that you allowed to offend you is just walking along. They're just fine because that's who they are. So number one is understanding what offense is. It's bait. You don't want to take the bait, okay? Secondly is, once you know what that is, you have to disarm offense. And I'll never forget. I was done really bad, a lot of times. But I was a young man, and a corporation really, really did me bad. I refused to betray the leader like the other staff members. They were being paid to betray him, and I was like, look, right or wrong, you don't do things like this. You don't accomplish good with evil. And so they really did me bad for refusing to stand back on my standards, right? And so they sent me to counseling to Phoenix, Arizona. And this guy said, Brant, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? What's your strengths? I thought, we can make a long list of our strengths, can't we? He said, what's your weaknesses? Oh, well, I was a little more, conservative, He said, now let me tell you what other people have said what your weaknesses are. Oh, man, I didn't know what... And in the most gentle way, he took me down to nothing. And then he rebuilt me. He said, let me tell you who God says you are. And so he said, look, from now on, you don't have to be offendable. You don't have to walk around with the chip on your shoulder. You don't have to have your shield up all the time. You can literally walk from a place of love. But before I'm going to teach you that. Make a list of all the people who's ever offended you. And then make a list of all the people you've offended.
Right.
Yeah, there it is.
And go through that list and forgive everybody. And if you can, go to the people you've offended and ask their forgiveness. I don't want to do that, man. He even wanted me to go to the people that offended me. But I did. And it cleaned my soul. And I was able to walk in a new way. And he said, now, when people want to offend you or want to accuse you, instead of, because you're right, Chuck, we live in a climate, people take others' offenses.
Right.
Even if it's false. We've seen people burn down cities taking someone else's offense, and you walk up to them, what are you doing this for? We don't know. We're paid $200 to do this, in a pipe from Soros, right?
Right.
They don't even know why they're offended. They're just easily offendable. But if you learn this, know what offense is, it's the bait, know how to disarm it, forgive everybody, forgive yourself, make things right, and then finally walk in a new way. If someone says, hey, Rhonda, you're just doing this for this, instead of holding up your shield, or Alan, instead of defending yourself, or Chuck, instead of saying, wait a minute, I'm going to set the record straight, you can disarm it immediately by not taking the offense. Mm-hmm. And then you can say, you know what? I don't know where you got that. I don't agree, but I sure don't want to come across that way. Would you tell me how you got that? Boy, how do you fight with that?
Yeah.
You know, and I want to tell you a story in just a little bit, pretty funny, but it's after I learned this, and it was an amazing transformation in my life, becoming unoffendable.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed about, times when maybe I have taken the bait, become offended, down the road, maybe it's a day, maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month or years or whatever. Sometimes I can't even remember what it was. And to me, all that says to me is, this is going to be okay. And all you're doing by taking that bait is making yourself unstable and upset. And there's a lot of mental stress and mental energy that's put into it. And like you said, that person may go on. Either they really meant to do it and they knew what they were doing, but most of the time people don't. And they're going on and they're living their life, and you're sitting over here stewing, making yourself miserable. So it's like you're the one that took the poison.
You got it. Yeah, they're just fine. But you took the poison, you took the bait. When I was 16 years old, this guy named Gary Dominguez, he toured with Chuck Norris. He taught me how to strike a target before they can see you move, right? And through part of it's how you angle your body, but another part of it is speed, through the years of speed. And I can still do that. I can still hit a target 48 times in 12 seconds. And that's mild now if you look at people like Mike Tyson. But I was a keynote speaker in 2001. I was 31 years old. My first big keynote, 2-day speaking seminar for probably one of the most famous organizations you've ever heard of. If I said it, you would all know it. And sitting in the front were two big old, guys, which is great. But these guys were cocky. They were loud. I think they were partially inebriated. And they started heckling me. And I remember careers ending from people taking the offense to a heckler. Mm-hmm. And so instead of taking the offense, saying, hey, man, why are you sitting in the front? You're going to be drunk and disrupt everybody. I'm being paid well to speak here. Why don't you respect everybody? I didn't do that. I said, well, hey, guys, why don't you come to the front? I told them the story about how Gary taught me that. And I said, you know what, guys? I want you to stand on either side of me. And I'm going to strike you right in the chest. I'm not going to do it hard, but I'm going to strike you before you see me move. Are you ready? I haven't counted down. 1, 2, 3. Bam. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, now I want you to put your hands together, this close together, and I'm still going to hit you right in the middle of your chest. And there's not a darn thing. I said, damn, but not a thing you can do about it. and they go, okay. So they're holding their hands up. Oh, we got this guy. I went, got him again. And so I said, finally, I'm going to put my hands in my pockets, and you're going to have your hands right here. I can still do this, by the way, as an old man, right? And I'm still going to hit you, and there's not a darn thing you can do about it. And I have my hands in my pockets. 1, 2, 3. Got him. I said, now you can sit down. And I connected that in some way to a story. Let me tell you, I didn't have a problem with them anymore. I was able to accomplish what I needed to accomplish, disarming a situation without becoming offended, without becoming angry, and without losing my identity and giving my identity away. So many of you have layers and layers and layers of offense in your life. And you know what? You were meant to be free. And so it's time to take those layers of offense off. Be yourself. Folks, there's a wonderful person in there.